Hey there guys, it's Eilthis again. A friend of mine just got done linking an article on Facebook. It was written by Kat Bailey over on PC World. It's titled World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor Preview, Remembering Where You Came From. The article starts off by talking a little bit about Blizzard and their relation to talking about World of Warcraft, saying that they're tightly controlling, and while that's true, it's mostly so they can just keep misconceptions from the players. The player base is very noted for just like freaking out the slightest little bit of thing. I myself, been playing the game for 10 years. I've seen everything, every facet of the player base that has ever existed. I've been there, I've seen it. And there's nothing more evident on why Blizzard is quiet than, like, if you go to MMO Champion, go to the forum sections and read the comments on people saying, reading these comments makes me glad I quit playing World of Warcraft 6 years ago. Ha 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 ha. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and nothing will make you want to avoid the player base more than reading things that certain parts of the player base, or even parts that aren't part of the player base anymore, have written or said about the game. And so, whenever someone talks about Blizzard being tight-lipped, it's for a pretty good reason. That's a minor thing. Looking at the article here on my other monitor, like, they go in, they talk to some, they have some quotes from Frost Ayabi, who's one of the quests and, game designers, and, he's a pretty great guy. He's got a lot of items named after him in the game, too, so he has to be awesome. He mostly talks about how he and the writers have, sort of neglected the Draenei, and that's true. It's absolutely true. The Draenei haven't gotten any real love ever since they were introduced, and even then, they were introduced almost as like a side thought, just sort of get the Burning Crusade going a bit. They hadn't really been mentioned too much, like here or there. They were sort of like a minor character they can pick on, almost like the Pandaren, or Pandaren, but even then, they didn't have like as much gusto, they weren't as well known to the player base. So, it's kind of hard to work with it. They go in to talk about the latest World of Warcraft expansion, Warlords of Draenor. Calling it the latest one expansion is kind of rough because it's not out yet. Mists of Pandaria is still the latest World of Warcraft expansion. But they say that they start off to say that Warlords of Draenor speaks out to the hardcore player base of World of Warcraft. And that is a dumb thing to say. I can't say that the person themselves is dumb because that'd be mean. I don't know anything about them. This is the only article by them I read. I'm sure they're very well spoken, and they are very well written, so I can at least give them that much credit. But saying that Warlords of Draenor, just from what we've seen so far, expresses itself to the hardcore WoW player base is very misleading, if you were to ask me in my opinion on it. There's nothing that really says that. In some ways, they're making the game more, they're making it easier to get into for new players, more than old players. Old players don't need help getting into the game. Blizzard's putting a lot of things into that helps new players get into it. And if you're an older player like I am, obviously, then these things don't help you. They're a nice benefit from time to time. They make your life easier. I know I'm going to be using the level 90 boost, but it doesn't affect me that much. It's not something that has meaning and use to me to any meaningful extent. So that's obviously not pandering to, hardcore player base. The story itself isn't catering to the hardcore player base, because when you say hardcore player base, they usually mean people who've played it for 10 years like I have. And while the story is interesting, it's nothing that's too entwined with it. It's nothing that we're going to be amazed by. We've known Garrosh since Burning Crusade, and that's a while for us. Yeah, that's ever since the second World of Warcraft expansion came out. But, saying Garrosh is like a huge figure to us is, maybe now since he's a raid boss and we've all been dealing with him in Siege of Orgrimmar, but he's not the Lich King. He's not Deathwing. He's not Gul'dan. He's not the Shadow Council. It's nothing quite to that extent. He's not an old god, so it's not something that resonates with us. Like, the biggest fight ever for World of Warcraft has either been Deathwing or, in my opinion, Eilthis, the Lich King. Because those fights, they're everything. They're the embodiment of almost all the lore, all the story, recent story that's been taking place in World of Warcraft. They're the driving forces behind it. But someone like Garrosh, no. Someone like, now, maybe the original Orc War Chiefs, mostly like hardcore Warcraft players will know about the original Orc War Chiefs, and even on Frost Ayabi goes on to say that they are badass characters. That they want to bring them in because of how badass they are. People don't know who they are, what they did, and that's absolutely true. They are some of the least represented but most influential characters that have ever existed in World of Warcraft lore. Scrolling down the article again, one of the things that he said, that she said that really bothered me was hence the return of names such as Orgrim Doomhammer or Kilrogg Deadeye, classic characters who for various reasons failed to live long enough to make a big impact on World of Warcraft. Now, on the gameplay of World of Warcraft, like the literal gameplay of World of Warcraft, they have not made an impact because they have not been characters in the game. On the story of World of Warcraft, which is where we're thinking that hardcore players, like going online a lot, I thought, are going to be the most devoted to these characters, they have made a huge impact. Sure, Kilrogg Deadeye, he's always been a minor character. Even in the Old Horde, he wasn't, like, he was one of the clan leaders, yes, but even then he was mentioned here, there, he did little things compared to Orgrim Doomhammer, the leader of the most successful section of the original Horde. He's the one, he killed Blackhand. He took over the Horde again and had a massive coup after Gul'dan, after Gul'dan fell into a coma. He came in, killed Blackhand, took over the Horde, and led its most successful campaign against the forces of Stormwind and the humans alike. He devastated the face of Azeroth in warfare. He led to the death and slaughter of more elves, humans, dwarves, and gnomes than almost any other Horde leader since Thrall came into power. He is big. He is big. And even then, you can still fight his son in the game, so his impact lingers. His son still calls himself the leader of the true Horde, which is what most orcs even consider to be the Horde, was that original glory days when they were winning everything, going on massive victory after massive victory, sieging Ironforge, raising Stormwind, taking over half of the Eastern Kingdoms. They did that. They were there. That was their glory. So to say Orgrim Doomhammer didn't have a big impact on the game, or didn't last long enough to have an impact for various reasons, namely just being, well, obviously, there's a lot going into that. I'm going to link to an article, the Wowpedia article on Orgrim Doomhammer, so you can read it yourselves and see what happened to the Horde. But long story short, he was one of the most influential characters on Warcraft history, at least in terms of World of Warcraft, which only takes place 15 years after, I believe, the Second War. So, I mean, we're right in the middle after the Third War, probably, actually, thinking about it. So that's like, what is that? What is that? I mean, I don't... Oh well, that's one thing to pick on, and then you sort of continue on, long-time Warcraft players, and there are still a fair few. Yeah, probably. It's like, it's a nice little treat, they say. This is huge to us, but they go on to say that this might be what we need to keep the player base back to what it was, and how they always go on about how the player base peaked at 12 million users, and then now it's down to 7.8 million. Only 7.8 million players. Jesus Christ. Well, Wrath of the Lich King was coming down off of the biggest high. Like, Burning Crusade to some people was the biggest high for World of Warcraft. And it was the most influential part for a lot of players. And so going into Wrath of the Lich King, where there's all these new features, it became that much easier for new players. Wrath of the Lich King was going to be huge. It was going to be monumentous as a player. It was going to be everything to you. Icecrown Citadel was, at the time, a really fun instance. Like, it looked interesting, it was visually appealing. Sure, it was lots of whites and blues and cold grays, but it had this feeling of cold, sterile death about it. And then, of course, you're fighting Eilthis. Eilthis Menethil, the Lich King himself. One of... I can't even believe it, like, that we fought him that early. Such an amazing character, but we had to get him out of the way. We had to. He was threat numero uno on the face of Azeroth. If we didn't beat Eilthis, there would be no more World of Warcraft. Simply, that's it. He was the first big boss to bring us to that point, that we had to kill him, or there'd be nothing left to kill. Nothing left to save. No quests, no dailies, boom, nothing. Gone. We'd all be dead husks on like a little dead world. And maybe that would have been better off for Azeroth. One huge united face of undead warriors, of unstoppable, unimaginable power. Maybe that would have been better. But... So, Wrath of the Lich King, obviously, like, it was huge. Of course it had some of the highest amounts of players in the game. Like, it was massive. And then going into Cataclysm, of course you're going to lose players in Cataclysm. Cataclysm focused too much on the remodeling the 1 to 60 zone, which, while it was needed, did detract pretty heavily from the late game. And while it had some really fun raids, I loved the raids in Cataclysm. I mean, it wasn't appealing enough. It didn't have enough going on. There was daily hubs, but they weren't fun. I did them. That's mostly because I wanted mounts and achievements and pets that came from it. It wasn't because, oh, these are super awesome, I want to keep doing them. No, I wanted the shit that came from them. But some people don't want that. Some people don't want mounts. Some people don't want pets. They want fun things to do. They added in pet battling, and pet battling was super awesome. People just didn't know about it yet. The game didn't credit you enough to actually do well with it until Mr. Pandaria came in. Actually, wait. I think I might be messing that up. I think pet battles actually when it came... Anyway, they didn't even have... Pet battles were such a huge thing. I just can't get over it sometimes. You get so confused. All the time you play, it's like sometimes things blur. I mean, obviously you see me a lot in my Balance Druid videos, and people today will ask me, hey John, I'm leveling this Druid because you look like you have so much fun playing it. I want to play a Druid. It's like, what level do you get travel form? And it used to be level 40 you got travel form. I think you get like level 25 now. I don't know. That was 10 years ago I leveled up a Druid, and I certainly haven't fucking done it again since I leveled Balance and Vanilla. And that's enough for anybody. It's enough for anybody. And, they go on to say, like, one of the big things about Warlords of Draenor right now that looks bad is that they're not going to add any big features. They say specifically, it's like there's not going to be a big feature like pet battles. And while that could be a problem, like, hopefully new player models will make up for it. The players will just be happy with new player models. That's fucking horseshit. Like, they're not, of course they're not adding a huge system like pet battles, because they're adding new huge systems in raiding. Like, there's no more flex difficulty. It's now flex technology integrated. 10 and 25 man raids don't exist anymore. Like, they don't fucking exist anymore. That's huge to somebody who's been raiding this entire time. It's like there's no more 10 and 25. It's just flex. You can bring anywhere from 8 to 25 people and the bosses will just work. Wow, that's fucking cool. It's like, oh, there's LFR now and it does the same thing. Oh, there's flex and normal. It does the same thing. Heroic is now the same thing too. And there's this new mode called Mythic that's ultra competitive, capped at 20 players and set at a minimum of 20 players so that the ground is even for all super competitive guilds. Like, oh my god, wow, that's fucking nothing compared to pet battles, well, isn't it? Not to mention removing hit expertise, complete redoing of racial passives and racial abilities. Well, some of them, as fucking Night Elves still have Shadow Melt. God fucking bless Shadow Melt. But it's like, oh my god, it's like, how could you completely ignore something like that huge? It's like, for everybody, from the bottom of the bucket to the very tippity top to wherever I am, somewhere in the middle, that is huge. It's changing raiding forever in the game. It's completely taking everything that raiding was, like, forget 40 mans, like, here's 10 mans and 25 mans, and like a 20 man, because, whatever, fuck it, deal with it. It's like, and then fuck that. It's like, you can take however many fucking people you want. You have 8 people, like, fucking raid with 8 people. It's like, you have 15 people, raid with 15 fucking people. Like, that's ridiculous. And then it's like, if you want to compete with everybody, it's like, it's not, oh, Paragon, was world first in 10 man. Does that really count when, Obsidian whatever beat it in 25 man on Heroic like the next day? Are they the real winners because 25 is harder? It's like, who the fuck cares? It's like, now there's Mythic. It's 20 man. Everybody's doing 20 man rating. So it's like, there's no more, oh, well, it's 25 man harder, it's 10 man harder on this fight. Do they get more points for this or that? No, because it's 20 man. And that's completely different to what everything's been so far. It's like, yeah, it's like there's a new PvP zone that's like Wintergrass, but everything Wintergrass should have been, with scaling amounts of players on either side. Like, there's no more stupid fucking buff that gives you more strength depending on if you're like the minority. It's like, nobody wants to deal with that. It's like, no, people want this new huge PvP zone. People want brand new rating system. They want raids to be something they get into. And most of all, they want to be able to buy the expansion. I want to be able to say, hey, Jeremy, I want you to buy World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor, and play with me. It's like, okay, buy this expansion, this expansion, this expansion, roll a level 1 character, level it to level 60, make a Death Knight, boost that Death Knight up to level 80. It's like, then from there, we're going to grind through all of the old content with you. We're going to get you 80 to 90, and then all the way up to 100, and then you can play with me on my main character, since I'm going to be trying raiding the week into raiding. Like, no, I want my friend to be level 90 the second the expansion starts. I want him to be able to level with me. I want him to be able to play with me. I want to do dungeons with him, and then I want to raid with him. I want to do LFR and challenge modes and heroic dungeons. I don't want to wait. I don't need that. He doesn't need that. It's like, I want to play with my best buddy, Jeremy. I want to play with my best buddy, so-and-so, and that's huge. And with the changes to raiding, it's even huger, because now you can just take your friends to raid. You can do LFR and flex and normal with your friends. It's huge. It really is huge, and I appreciate all the changes they're making. Like, even from a rating perspective, I don't want to go too in depth into it, because I'm mostly just here to talk about this article and maybe some of the things they're underrepresenting or misrepresenting about World of Warcraft and the player base, or maybe even what they think a hardcore player is. Maybe it's just this person's view of them being a hardcore player, or the player that they used to be, and them thinking maybe that's who I am, that's who I was, that's what I think other people are and how they like the game, which I can't really fault them for. Because most of the things I've said, I like this. I like the way the lore played out. I like the bosses. I like the raids. It's like, I like the idea of all the things we're going to be able to do now. I mean, it's like saying, when they introduced AoE looting, it's like, AoE looting is the shit. I could not go back to a world without AoE looting. It's like saying AoE looting was just a minor feature. Like, it's nothing compared to pet battles. It's like, of course it's not something compared to pet battles, because it's brand fucking new. It's revolutionizing looting, which is, the big grand scandal thing. It's like, who wants to revolutionize looting when you can revolutionize something else? But, like, looking back on it, it's like, would I get rid of AoE looting? No. It's like, would I get rid of pet battles? No. Would I get rid of a level 90 boost? No. It's like, would I get rid of any of the expansions? No. It's like, I love it. I've loved all of it. And I love where they're going with it. And I think, if I've been playing this game for 10 years and I've been raiding every year since Burning Crusade, like all the time, I own all the collector's editions, and I'm not a hardcore player base, and I'm being told like this is what I like, I can give my opinion on what I like and to an extent why I like it, like I just have. And I think that's something that more people should do. I think the people who like the game should say why they like it. They should let people know I like this thing, and this is why I like it. And that's how you get more things that you like put into the game. When it comes down to like the changes they're making to flying, this article doesn't even mention how there's not going to be any flying until the first major patch of the expansion. It's like, to a lot of players that's really big, but most people aren't thinking about it. They're like, oh, well, it's just flying. And the people who are thinking about it, who are saying something, it's like there's so many who said, I hate flying. It's like, I hate being able to just fly over everything. I want to see the world. I want to see the scenery. Like, those people, they got their way now. It's like, now we're not going to be able to fly. And I'm not here or there about it. I need to see how it's going to work out in the long, grand scheme of things. And if it doesn't work out, I'll tell Blizzard, hey, I don't think this worked. I didn't appreciate it as much as I would have thought, or maybe I would have hoped that I did. Or if it worked, I want to say, hey, you know, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I think people should do that more. If you like the way this boss was, let the developer know. Go tweet Ion on Twitter and let him know, like, hey, I really liked this fight. I appreciated this raid. I appreciated this mechanic. And maybe you can see more mechanics like that. Or let him know, hey, I didn't like this mechanic. I thought it was blank for X. And just let him know that. You need to let your voice be known. And I can appreciate this article because it's just somebody letting their voice be known on what they like and maybe some problems that they're having with it. But overall, it feels too sterile. It feels like it's not coming from the heart. It's somebody saying things, maybe they don't play anymore, maybe they don't play as much as they did, or maybe they don't just talk to people who are part of the game anymore. I feel like that's what happens sometimes. But you know, I'm looking forward to Warlords of Draenor. I'm looking forward to reading more articles about Warlords of Draenor, and I'm looking forward to reading more opinions about Warlords of Draenor. So, you know, hopefully I'll be around to give my opinion once it starts. But until then, I'm just as ready to read more PC gamer articles about it, more WoW Insider, more Know Your Lores, just to, you know, just sort of tide me over until the fucking hype train knocks me right off the block into the grease. It's crazy. The hype train's going to be massive. I mean, I'm going to fucking see you guys there. I'm going to fucking see you at Ashran. I'm going to whoop your ass at PvP. You're not even going to fucking see it coming. There's going to be a random Balance Druid in your LFR. It's like he's going to be doing twice your DPS, twice your damage, keeping his threat low. He's going to heal the healers, battle res the tanks. He's going to tank it himself, and he's still going to do more damage than you. That's going to be fucking me in Warlords of Draenor. And I'm going to fucking see you then. So all aboard the fucking hype train, because we are on the way. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys appreciated hearing some of this. I hope I might do this like a video so I can post up little things that, like, you know, links to the articles and all that, and excerpts from the PC Gamer article I'm talking about. And if you appreciate it, you know, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. So, you know, until then, have a great night. I hope this was something you appreciate. And like I said, go on Twitter, tell the developers what you like, get their attention, make it be known, make the game better, make the game you want it to be, unless your opinion is stupid, and then just sit down, listen to me instead. Don't talk to the developers, leave them alone. Alright guys, so you have a good one. Eilthis, out.